Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a scramble and solve of the Laser AI cube designed by Joseph Bencic, a fellow Canadian and fellow puzzle enthusiast, and obviously very, very talented. This is just an extraordinary puzzle. I'm really happy with it, and I'm really looking forward to putting it through its paces. Now, this isn't a tutorial, this is just a demo solve. I will explain what I'm doing, and I can put some of my algorithms down in the comments, but really I think a tutorial would be a different video. Alright, well with that in mind, let's just quickly take a tour of this puzzle. We have the power button over here. This is really important. And then from the power button, we can go one of two ways. Let's go up. We can go up, and we follow this streak of energy, maybe laser energy, all across the puzzle. And then we have another one that comes down this way and zigzags across until it comes back to the power button. There are some other designs that kind of wind around the puzzle. This is all fairly important when you're going to solve a puzzle like this, to really take a good look at it. Now some people take photos. I don't know if that's cheating or not. The rules of the game are your rules, so solve it however you want. Anyway, we've seen then that we have these streaks of color. There's streaks of color, and they go around the puzzle. The other thing I'm going to point out are the little triangles as a streak of light, laser light, probably goes across the puzzle. These little triangles will be very helpful at the end. They may help us, I think. And then there's a few more over here. Now, the other thing about this is Joseph recommends to keep the puzzle on a doily or cloth. I've got a cloth right now, and to turn very carefully, so I will be turning very carefully and deliberately. Alright, well let's get started. Let's scramble this up. Now, in typical AI cube fashion, we're going to have to join up the AI portion of the puzzle. And before we've even done very much, it's already looking pretty chaotic. So I'm just going to do a few moves. Probably one of the easiest ways to scramble this puzzle thoroughly is to do some cube rotations. However, I seem to be off to a pretty rough start there. I don't know what I just did. Alright, well I'll do that as a cube rotation then. Subcube rotations, we're rotating one of the 2x2 sections, really play a very, very important role in the solve of this puzzle. I'm using the up, down, down strategy to rotate. If we start on the left, it'll rotate it counterclockwise, and if we start on the right, it'll rotate it clockwise. And the reason I'm doing that, I'm using the up version of it, is that this algorithm has side effects, and the side effects are that it swaps two corners on the bottom, or when you go up, it swaps them on the bottom, and when you start down, it swaps them on the top. Obviously, we want to minimize the side effects, so we're just going to do the up version, so the side effects are on the bottom. For most of the solve, we don't care at all about the 2x2 section. We're just working on a 4x4. So now I want to rotate this so I can split it up. So let's do a clockwise rotation of that, and it's just those two, and you'll notice that we moved it now so that it's along the seam here, and then I can split those up. Let's give it a big a big boost. And we can do the same thing. This is the same section, and we can rotate it one more time to get the rest of it broken up. Okay, there we go. So that one's broken up quite nicely. Now, another thing we could do, since I've moved the top section off, is I can rotate it again in the same direction, and then just give this another twist to just really emphasize the splitting up of pieces. We have this section here. We do the same thing. So, and I'm turning carefully and slowly, you know, within some kind of reason. Want to be able to actually solve it. So now, if all right, I'm going to do another right rotation. So the actual solve of something like an AI cube, there's a lot of strategy to it. There's a few algorithms, mostly strategy. And it's one of those puzzles that can sometimes be a bit challenging to get your mind around, I find anyway. That was my biggest mental block to learning how to solve the AI cube, was that it let's go that way, that I just found it to be really hard to figure out what was going on as I was moving things around. And as I became more familiar with the puzzle, the AI cube puzzle, it became a little bit easier. Of course, this is something altogether over and above what a regular AI puzzle is, and we'll see that as we start to get into it. Now, what I was trying to do is break up these pieces here. So I'm just going to do another rotation. I may have rotated in the wrong direction. So that's a counterclockwise rotation. And now we can split that one up. And as I've done before, I'm going to. Now, one of the ways to make sure everything's nicely split up would be to swap some of the cubes around. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do a corner swap here. These are all the same techniques we will use, of course, to solve the puzzle. This is what I call a cuboid corner swap. I think I tried to do this on my unboxing video, but it had been a while since I did it, and I sort of had the idea, but I really didn't, kind of thing. So we swap those two around, which means now if we just move these pieces, the cube will be even more scrambled. I'm going to rotate this one clockwise, just random kind of movements. Now, want to get a good scramble so that we can really see everything that this puzzle can throw at us. And then these ones, you know, it's one of those things. We're probably going to have some pieces that will still be joined together. Okay, that's a float plane taking off, and it is summertime here in northern Ontario, Canada, and that's what happens. So you'll hear a few of those. It's nothing to be alarmed about. Those float planes supply the many fishing camps and wilderness camps in our area. They bring the food and, of course, the equipment, fuel for their boats, spare parts, and of course the customers as well, up to these remote cabins, wilderness cabins. It's really very cool. It's really cool to see these little planes. Okay, so let's just kind of do that. So it's, yeah, that's just the noise that I tend to ignore, but I understand it could probably be a little annoying. So I'm not used to it. Okay, let's try that. I'm going to break that one as well. We're just trying to get a good scramble here. I guess I should say that I'll mark all of the major sections of the solve, and then you can just skip around. I'm going to do a diagonal corner swap just to get things mixed up even more. Okay, so we swap those two, and then I can do one more, and you know what, that's actually looking pretty good. I still have a few of these, but they're not really the same. They're not really the same piece. They're different colors, so I think we might be okay with that. Okay, this one is. All right, I'm going to split this one up because it's two pieces are still joined. Yes, good old AI can't even split the pieces up. Okay, so like that, and then I'll just rotate it in the opposite direction. Okay. All right. You know what? I think that's got it. So that is the Laser AI cube completely and thoroughly scrambled. Yeah, it is. It really is scrambled. All right, here. I'll do that. Oops. All right. I'll do that. No, I can't do that. All right. Well, anyway, yes, it really is scrambled quite well. Even though some of the 2x2 pieces are joined back, it's really quite scrambled. So that's how we're starting with this. This is where we pick up this. I can't even find the power button anymore. This Laser AI puzzle really needs to be put back. All right, well, the first step then in the solve of the Laser AI cube is to put all the 4x4 sections back. I actually changed the puzzle back to its base configuration during the scramble, but that's now it's ready to have this section solved. And we're going to do this section in two steps. We're going to solve the corners, this edge, right? So it's all the edges. We'll solve those first, and then we'll deal with these little pieces inside, the inner cubies. So we want to solve the outer edges first. Okay, so we'll solve all those. And once we solve the inner edges, then we'll actually solve the 2x2 puzzle, and then that will be done. Well, how will this go? Well, all I'm looking for, if we really wanted to, we could try and remember what it all looked like and what the different stripes were, but all I really want to do at this point is try to find pieces that I can join together. So, for example, these are already done, and I see this piece right here, which has blue, red, baby blue, and green, and it's the same as those, so these pieces go together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this piece, this corner piece, the 4x4 block, clockwise. Okay, and we'll use this up, down, down twice. And what it does is it rotated and put that piece right there. And now if I turn these pieces, they're not quite there, so these pieces need to be rotated a little bit. And remember, we don't care about that piece, we just care about that and that one. So I'm just going to go over here. Well, these join themselves together quite nicely, so that's good. And I'm going to rotate this one clockwise as well. Okay, so now this is good. And when I move it over, this is actually looking pretty good because we actually have this entire one solved right like that. Okay. So, and we'll just move on. That was easy. May seem like it was a little too easy. In fact, sometimes you get lucky like that, and then sometimes it's a real monstrosity. So this piece here, which has red, purple, and yellow on it, is related to this piece which has red, purple, and yellow. So let's try and figure out how these might be related. Now we don't want to hurt this piece. What I think I'm going to do is, oh, and I see this one as well. They're all kind of related, aren't they? So the trick here is to be able to rotate one of these without hurting the other one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to rotate this piece that way, and I'm going to move that out of the way. So I don't care about this part, so I just move this top end, and I'm going to rotate this whole corner block clockwise. You know, it might work, it might not. Now, some puzzlers are very good at visualizing, and you can sort of see in their mind what something will look like. I'm really not good at that. So sometimes I gotta test fit the pieces, and that's perfectly fine. So what I can see now, I made a mistake because this is purple, yellow, and red. This is yellow, blue, and pink, which has nothing to do with anything. So I don't know what I did here. Oh, I may have rotated. I see. I may have rotated this piece so that it was part of this. That's probably what I did. Okay, well, I'm going to try rotating this one more time, see if I can get this piece into the bottom layer. And if I can, that's great. If I can't, I'll just move on. This is what I like about this puzzle. It's fascinating. It's much more interesting than your typical AI cube. Okay, so it ended up there, which is not really... Can I try one more time? Alright, I'll try one more time. I realize that if I do it even one more time, then it'll be... it will be where it started. So now I've got the purple on top here. So my issue is if I want to join these two, and I think they do match, I got to rotate this by itself. Well, this part's already done, so I got to move over here. I don't care about this part yet, so I'm just going to rotate this clockwise. So you might actually now start to be getting an idea, there you go, about what makes the AI cube difficult, and what particularly makes the Laser AI cube difficult is that as you're working on it, the amount of room you have to work with gets smaller and smaller. So now we have this nice little strip here, which is really good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this little strip mobile by rotating it into the upper layer. Okay, so now that strip is ready to go. I can see this bottom layer here looks good, but again, I might have to, you know what? See this yellow, red, and purple does match. If I could somehow rotate this one more time, I think it would match up with that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these, I'm going to move them over here because I don't care about this one, and I'm going to rotate it one more time. Okay. So unlike other puzzles, this is a lot of strategy, and maybe some other YouTuber can give you some ideas. There we go. So we've got those. We just have one more piece, and if I can find that one more piece, we'll be in good shape here. No, that's not it. So what are we looking for? It's just an edge piece that has yellow and red and purple. I mean, really, there aren't that many. There it is right there. Okay. So now in order to use this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this so that these three pieces that we care about are in the top layer. So I'll try a counterclockwise turn. Yeah, so where I was going with what I was talking about before was that, you know, some YouTubers may be able to give you strategies that will, you know, better strategies than what I'm showing here. Okay, so this is nice. This is solved, but our problem is that so is this one. So how are we gonna sort that out? Ooh. Let's see. I think I can do this. Okay. So these two are side by side, except that these pieces aren't side by side. This has to go there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two tops. This is really kind of tricky. Okay, so yeah, so this one, what we want is we want to put this piece right here without affecting either of those. Those two are together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the two that we care about here. I'm going to swap these two, and when I move it back, the two finished pieces will be side by side. I know it looks crazy, but it really does work. So I'm going to swap these, use the cuboid corner, adjacent corner swap. Adjacent cube swap, this one and this one. Okay, so we swap those two, which means this one should be beside the one we care about. And now when we bring them back, we have two that are, this one's complete, and this one is also complete. So we have these two match, and these three match. And that's what we're looking for. So it sounds really good, right? Oh, we're halfway there. Well, we've now used up half of the space we have to work with on the puzzle. So let's move over here and see what we can come up with on this side. Sometimes this goes really well and easily, and sometimes it's really, really rough. We can see that this is got orange with green and blue, orange with green and blue. So these two pieces go together, but this one has to be rotated. So I'm just going to go over here, and I'm going to rotate this because we haven't really done anything with that yet. So I'm going to rotate it that way. Okay, so we rotated it, and now those pieces are joined together. This is great. So I see this piece here, which is probably, yeah, it probably would join if you sort of picture that. So what I gotta do is rotate this to get the green down in the bottom, which would be counterclockwise, I think. Yeah, so this, if I rotate it, this will go right there, I think. Oh, let's try it. Yeah, so that was my point earlier. For me, anyway, a big part of this puzzle is just trying stuff. That's basically it. Okay, so I'm going to rotate this so we want the green down. I think I'm going clockwise with that one. I'm not real sure. I'll try it. So yeah, so a lot of my strategy is trying stuff. It's not as a carefully curated strategy that some YouTubers would use. Now, this is the solve position for this layer. If I move these over, this is all well and good, but now I gotta, if I want to keep these together, I gotta rotate this so that all three pieces are in the upper layer. And while I'm doing that, and this is where things get tricky. Okay, so they're all in the upper layer. Now, this piece over here belongs with all this. Oh, actually, it's going to work for us. Oh, look at that. That works. Okay, so I didn't have to rotate this at all. So this all looks good. Well, what do we have over here? We have a bit of a mess over here, and this is always going to be the challenge, because now we're completely out of room here. Let's see here. So, what do I got to do? That has to be, I think this just has to be rotated clockwise. Bit of a problem for this one though, because we're going to mess up this bottom one, but can't really be helped. Okay, so we rotated that. We brought it over here. That looks good. Okay. And yeah, so we ended up with a piece that we kind of need over here, but this happens a lot. What I want to do here, I want to rotate this, because this piece has to be brought over here somewhere. So I'm going to rotate this whole thing that way, I think. I'd say this is probably the longest part of this solve. Okay, so that looks good. Now, this is going to, I think, work out for us, because these three pieces go together. We don't care about that one, but we want to keep those together. So now I'm going to rotate this clockwise. These look all good. This one is in the right position, and just by doing all of that, we rotated this into the right position. So this is good. I think we got it. So these outer edge pieces are done, and that outer edge piece is done. These outer edge pieces are done, and that one's done. These outer edge pieces and that one, and these outer edge pieces and that. So that is the first step for solving the Laser AI cube. Alright, we're back for the next step of the Laser AI cube solve. And for this step, we're going to be moving around these little inner pieces of the puzzle. There is an algorithm for it. It seems very long and complicated, but really it's not. It's a series of U-turns, U and U prime, clockwise and counterclockwise U-turns, along with left and right block rotations, and that's it. So what the algorithm does is it moves a piece from here to here, from here to here, and from here to here, and that's it. That's what it does. It doesn't change anything else. Now there's a wee bit of a complication to it, but that's basically all that happens. What I'm looking for now is a good setup here. This will go there. This one actually belongs there. So let's see. Yeah, I don't really want to go. Just want to look for one. I just want to put one in at least that's good here, straight away, without having to do this twice. But I don't know. I think this one actually goes there. Actually, that's not bad. Yeah, it would be hard to. Again, that's a double 2-cycle there. Alright, well, we're having our... Okay, this actually looks like it belongs there. Alright, and then that one... Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate this block counterclockwise to get a piece in position, and this is part of it. You're going to be doing a lot of these rotations. So this piece actually belongs there. That's good. Now if I could find the target for this piece, which has red and yellow, which is, where would that be? Red and yellow. I think it's over here, which isn't really, actually, I think I could. Might be able to do it. Okay, well, clockwise. So it really just, you know, you can do this one step at a time. It really doesn't matter. Now, you'll notice here that the pink part on this piece is at the top. When we go over here, the corresponding one is on the left. Now, the complication about the algorithm we're using is that when the piece moves from here to here, it rotates counterclockwise by 90 degrees, which means that this will be correct. The other complication is that when this piece moves from here to here, it rotates clockwise 90 degrees, and in this case, that piece will indeed be correct. The yellow has to match up over here. The red has to go up there, but because the piece is going to be turned, it's going to be correct. And then finally, this piece, which has the blue on top and the yellow on the right, has to go over here, and that's the proper orientation for it. Well, it so happens that the algorithm doesn't flip this piece, it just goes over in the same orientation. So what I'm saying is that when I do the algorithm, we're actually going to solve 3 pieces, which is quite impressive for the beginning opening of solving this. Normally you only solve 1 or 2 at a time. So the algorithm, as I say, it's a lot of U-turns and rotating the left and right blocks. So we're going from here to here, here to here. This is the left block, that's the right block. Okay, I got this algorithm from a video by my friend and fellow puzzle enthusiast, Keven Sadler, and I modified it just a little bit based on a comment that was in the, that was posted by another user. So that's where I got this. I think it originally comes from a YouTuber called Super Antonio Vivaldi. Alright, so we're going to do a U, and we're going to turn the left block counterclockwise. Then we do a U prime. Then we're going to do the left block clockwise. Then we do another U prime. Then we're going to turn the right block counterclockwise. And we do a U. Then we do the right block clockwise. And we do a U prime. We do the right block clockwise again. We'll do a U. Then we're going to turn the left block counterclockwise. Okay, and the net result is that everything's back the way it started. Nothing else on the puzzle changed. But the piece that was here went there and solved it. That piece went there and solved it. And it was rotated. That piece went over here and solved that. And that is how we're going to solve all of the little cubies on this puzzle. I gotta tell you, that's a very unusual solve. Very unusual to get 3 like that right off the bat. Normally, you only get 1 or 2. But so I see we have 2 pieces here that need to go. So I'm going to rotate this clockwise. And the reason I'm rotating it clockwise is that our algorithm works in the bottom, this sort of the inner layer. So we want to move these here. Now this blue and green, let's take a look at where that would go. I think it goes right there. Alright, so I'm going to try, and remember I'm very visual, so a lot of puzzlers will be able to tell right away. I'm not so good like that, so I'm going to rotate this corner clockwise to put the piece next to its target and see if indeed it matches. Now remember, when it goes from here to here, it gets a 90-degree turn clockwise, and indeed that piece does solve that one, so that looks good. Unfortunately, oh yeah, okay, and then this one, which doesn't get rotated, will solve that. This one will go here and it won't solve that, but we'll have two solved from this block when we do our algorithm. So we do the same algorithm. I don't have a left or right version of this. I only have one version, and that solves every single case. So left block, right block, start with the U, counterclockwise on the left. U prime, clockwise. U prime, and we're going to go counterclockwise on the right. U, and we'll go clockwise on the right. And that's a U prime. Clockwise on the right. That's a U. And then counterclockwise on the left. And what that does is puts the puzzle in exactly the same configuration it was in, except for the three moves of the algorithm. So what happened? Well, this one moved from here to here, and it rotated. Didn't really do anything. That one moved from there to there. It rotated 90 degrees clockwise, filled that one in. That one moved from here to here without rotating, and it filled that one in. So I'm pretty happy with that. There's only one left to do. Now if I wanted to put this in a good position to solve that one, I really need to rotate it, because for the singles, when there's only a single you're targeting, it has to be on the right. So I'm just going to go ahead and rotate that to get it set up. Again, I'm really not, I'm more of a visual solver rather than putting stuff in my head. So I'd rather see it right there. In fact, I see the piece that it belongs to right there. So I think, yeah, 90 degrees. So that will solve that one. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap these two corner blocks. This is with the cuboid corner swap. So there we go. So we swap those two. So now this piece indeed is lined up to solve that one. Now this will go over here, and it's not going to solve that, because what we would need is orange, blue, and green over here. So that's not going to solve that. Nor will it solve this one over here. As a matter of fact, this one, you know what? This one might solve that, but that's for next time. Right now we're just going to solve one, which will solve this entire block, and that's fine. That's typically how it goes. We solve one or two at a time until the very last. Okay, so we'll run through our algorithm again, and then this will be rotated and put in there. So left, right. So we start with a U, and we'll go counterclockwise. And we'll do U prime. It's also called U inverse. Again, U prime. Now we're going to go clockwise, counterclockwise on the right. We do a U, and we'll go clockwise. Go U prime. We'll do U, and then we'll do a counterclockwise rotation of the left block. Now you notice I'm turning very slowly, very deliberately, and that's because this is a hand-painted puzzle. So what happened? Well, we did solve that one, so this block is done, finished, good to go. Whereas this block has 3 that are not solved. However, this one is ready to be cycled into that. So if we can find a spot for this, oh, the spot for that is up here. So that's out of the question. Off the table isn't going to happen. So, well, that kind of sucks. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to cycle this just so we can solve the one. And then that'll give us 2 unsolved, and I think that'll be good. So we need a place over here to catch that piece, right? And we want to find something that's not solved. We're not going to solve it because it's within itself here, but once we get it onto another piece, then we'll be able to solve it that way. So I'm looking around and I see this one has 1 unsolved right here, and if I can just take this whole cube, put it over there with that unsolved one there, even though it won't solve it, at least it'll hold it for us, so we can have another crack at the algorithm and solving it. So what I'll do then is I'll do the cuboid diagonal corner swap. Just I guess I could probably swap those 2 but as well, but hey, why not? So the diagonal, so it's this one and that one, very similar to the adjacent. So those 2 swapped, and now I'll go over here, and the piece I was looking for to go here is still up here, so I now have to do a counterclockwise rotation of that. Now, and I think some people say anticlockwise, and you know what? It's just different ways of pronouncing things, different regional conventions, and they're all correct. Nobody's right or wrong. So now, if I run this algorithm, this one will go here, which will solve that. It'll be rotated counterclockwise 90 degrees, so the orange will be lined up with that. The blue will be lined up with that. This one will go here. Now I'm going to solve it, but it gets it off of this cubie, so then we can put it back in another time. And then this piece, without being rotated, will be just put right there. It's not going to solve it, but again, it gets us to a situation where there's just 2 to solve rather than 3 on this, and we can work with that, I think, a little bit better. Alright, so here we go. One algorithm. We're not going to have different versions of the algorithm. Left, right, I'm going to start with a clockwise and then a counterclockwise on the left. U prime, U prime again. Now we're going to do counterclockwise on the right. Be a U. Now we'll go clockwise on the right. Okay, and it's a U prime. Clockwise on the right again. It's a U, and then we rotate the left block counterclockwise to put everything back exactly the way we started. Now this one, we didn't expect it to get solved. It came from there. The one went there and it solved that, and then that one got pushed off. And now this one will actually make a good cycle. As a matter of fact, okay, so if I rotate this block to put these 2 unsolved pieces in the bottom layer, we might actually be able to solve that one right here and now. So I need a counterclockwise rotation. Okay, so now we have this one and this one are not solved. This one, though, will solve that. Now, remember, when it goes from here to here, it doesn't rotate. So the orange is up and down, and the green is horizontal. The orange is up and down, the green is horizontal. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So this piece will be put there. It's not going to solve it, but it's already unsolved, so it doesn't hurt it. This one will solve that, and then the one in here will go there. And again, it's just going to be one unsolved, but we can work with that. I see we have another one over here as well. I think that's what I think that's what I'd like to do here. There's one other possibility. I just want to check this out. Is that this one here would be solved by that. You know what? And then after that, this one would be here, and then that one's solved. You know what? It makes more sense to start with this. Put this piece right here. That's perfect. Because now I think we have 2 more 3 cycles then. Okay, so we'll save this one for later. I think if we work on this one first, it'll give us a better result. So I'm going to use a corner cuboid corner swap to swap these 2 big corners. Okay, I did that. And now I want to rotate this down, so I think I need a counterclockwise turn. Now I am turning very carefully here. I'm trying to make sure everything's lined up, and not getting over eager. So I really like this because this piece is going to go over. It's not going to do anything, but it will. The next time we do it, it would solve this one. So that's good. But this one, remember, it's going to be rotated 90 degrees clockwise when it goes from here to here. So this piece will fit perfectly in there. This one will go over here. Now that piece, when it goes here, won't solve that, but one more rotation from here to here will solve that piece. So I think we have the end in sight here once we do this. We have 2 more of these to do. Now at this point in the solve, I just want to remind you that this movement algorithm, it's fairly complicated. If you get tired, take a break, because a mistake in that is pretty serious. It messes things up. All right, left, right. Start with a U, counterclockwise. Do a U prime. Another U prime. Do a U. U prime. Did I just say do a U? And then we'll do a counterclockwise turn of the left face. Counterclockwise turn of the left face. Did I just talk about being tired and making mistakes? And that's exactly what I was talking about. It is tiring, and after a while you're in a rush to get those last 2. That I call it the one more piece syndrome, where you just want to keep pushing to do one more piece, and then you find out what your limit is by scrambling your puzzle. So this one's completely solved. This one's completely solved. There's only one piece left on this one, and that piece, if we put it there, I think we're going to have one more 3 cycle. So I'm going to do a cuboid corner swap with these 2, and I think we'll be in good shape. Okay, and now when that one came over, it put the piece we're interested in. Nothing else to be solved. Now the reason why I did it this way, I'm really excited about this, because if we look at this piece here, when it moves from here to here, this is blue and green, when it moves from here to here, it'll rotate 90 degrees counterclockwise, and that will put the blue here, it'll put the green up there, it'll solve that piece. Okay. When this one moves from here to here, it rotates 90 degrees clockwise, puts the pink vertical and the yellow horizontal, it solves that one. And when that piece moves from here to here, it doesn't rotate. We got orange vertical, green horizontal, orange vertical, green horizontal. That's going to solve those pieces. So all I have to do is get through this algorithm one more time. All right, how does it go? Left, right, U, left block counterclockwise, U prime, left block clockwise, another U prime, right block counterclockwise, U, right block clockwise, U prime, right block clockwise, U, and then left block counterclockwise, which is just to put it back to exactly where it was. Well, look at that. That is a sight for sore eyes, I guess. It's beautiful, isn't it? So we got these ones cycled as I predicted, and all of the subcubes are solved. All right, well, now it's time for the third and final step in the solve of the Laser AI cube, and that step is solving the 2x2 puzzle. Now, some things are going to help us with the solve. These little triangular bits of color on the corners of the cubes will help us to find the pattern of these laser beams. Okay, and the way I'm going to do that, let's just take this blue right here. It really doesn't matter where we start. And I'm going to find a, okay, this one right here. I'm going to substitute this piece right here so that this triangle is adjacent to one of the laser beams. Now, I don't know if that's the correct position for it, but I'll actually show you how we figure that out. So this is the other laser beam, which I know it goes here. So I will just put that in. I have to do some turning of that. Okay, and I think, okay, I'm just having a bit of a hard time. There we go. It's quite far into the solve here, and there you go. So this looks good, and we know that the top looks solved, but the way to tell is to look on the side, the pattern on the side. Now this is not looking so promising, and then this definitely not looking promising at all. This should be yellow along here, and likewise this should be green. So what that tells me is that these two pieces are swapped. But that's not a big deal because we do have a diagonal cuboid corner swap algorithm, or you could just, because we're not too heavily invested in the solve yet, we can just move the pieces manually. But let's just go ahead and use our algorithm. Okay, so what that does is swap those two pieces, and now you can see that on the sides we have a correct pattern. Well, that means that this layer of a 2x2 is solved. So I'm going to flip everything over now, and now I'm going to then just have to solve the top, or what's left here, I guess we'll call it. So how is this going to look? Well, we can take a look at the pattern here. We see we have a laser beam and it's reflected up. So based on what we talked about earlier, this should be a reflection, but it should be green. So there's the green right there. So that's the correct place for that. But this cube is rotated, but that's not a problem. Likewise, this piece should have a green triangle here, and indeed we have one, but it's just not placed. So these two are correct, which is actually a good sign. We don't really have to do very much. So I'm going to turn this over and take a look over here, and it looks like these two might be swapped. Yeah, I think so. Let's see here. Yeah, I think these two are swapped because maybe. Yeah, well this yellow needs to be here, and this yellow has to go there. So these two are swapped. I'm just going to swap those, cuboid corner swap. Okay, so we swapped them. Now it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be correctly oriented. You know, yeah. This one will be correct, and yeah, that one. They have to be oriented before they're correct. I think we're okay now. Not 100% sure, but I think we're okay. All right, well, I need a corner to begin. I'm going to rotate this until it's in the correct spot. It's going to mess up the bottom here, but hopefully it's not going to be too bad. We just have to remember this is the green is horizontal. So this is just the beginner's corner orientation. Okay, so now that's correct. Remember we did mess that up a little bit. That one is correct. And now I can rotate this one until it's matched up with that. Oh, this is so good. Okay, so we have those two. And now the pattern on the top is emerging, which tells me that I need to have this red arrow right here. So I'm going to do this. Okay, finally. So now this one's correct. And then the last one to put into place is this one. We have to rotate it. And then this should be fixed with the last turn. Hopefully, if I didn't do anything wrong anyway, it should be fixed. Okay, and that now, so this top layer is all solved. How about the bottom layer? Well, let's just rotate it until things line up. Wow, look at that. Indeed, that is absolutely, wow, that is great. So the Laser AI cube is solved. Look at that. That is just marvelous. Okay. Now, where did we start? Remember, we had the power button, and then we had the yellow laser beam, which reflected around. We had the red laser beam, which reflected around. Oh, this is great. The green Just absolutely awesome puzzle. All right, well, that's it for this demo solve of the Laser AI cube by Joseph Bencic. What a great puzzle, beautiful design, very interesting solve. I'm very glad to have this puzzle. So in the description for the video, I'm going to put all the algorithms I used. I'll put some links to Joseph's website. I'll put some other useful information in there. Now, in the comments, I'd like to hear from you. Do you like demo solves? Do you like tutorials? If so, what puzzles would you like to see? And just let me know what you think. I always appreciate feedback. And, well, that's it for me. Until next time, thanks for watching.